Good afternoon and happy Thursday. Welcome to the premiere show of the TwoMan show, only on V89.1 The Roar. I'm your host, Dominic, Richetti, joined alongside my co-host, Nick Caruso. And man, do we have a show for you today. We'll talk a little bit about our favorite movies so you can learn a little bit more about us. We'll talk about the Oscars, which just happened this past Sunday. And we'll conclude talking about the blockbuster that is Dune Part 2. And now I want to welcome in my co-host, Nick. Nick, how are you?
Thank you, Dom. I am doing fantastic, and I hope all of you listening have had a great start to your day. My name is Nick Caruso, and I'm an economics major, also studying history and political science. I'm from Pelham, New York, and I cannot describe to you all how excited I am for our first episode of the TwoMan show. It's going to be a great day, and the weather agrees, so relax, maybe catch some sun, enjoy our show today. Dom, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm super excited to be on the mic. I'm super excited to have you on the mic for the first time too. It's gonna be a great show today. It's gonna be a great show for the next 2 semesters that we have. A lot to talk about. It's been a great week for movies. I mean, we had the Oscars on Sunday. Dune Part 2 came out 2 weeks ago now. We're gonna do a deep dive into both of those things. But a little introduction about me. I am Dominic Richetti. I've been a member of this radio station for like a year and a half. You'll probably see me on the Morning Roar. I did Villanova Sports Talk at 11:30 today. I'm occasionally part of the live broadcasting crew as well. I study economics as well. I'm from Drexel Hill. I'm a local kid, PA. So a lot of good stuff coming from me. First thing we're going to talk about, a little bit about us. First thing we're going to do, talk a little bit about the first movie we remember seeing in a movie theater. Post-COVID, I remember the big deal was, movie theaters are dying. That's a dead industry. It's not. It's back. It's so back. I've been to the movie theater twice in the past, 10 days. Nothing beats it. First thing I can recall, or first movie I can kind of recall seeing in the movie theater, I remember I don't know if this is the first one I can remember, but just a significant memory I have. I saw Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I think 2 maybe, in like an AMC, and it was just me, my sister, and my dad, and me and my sister sat down in our seats, and we left, or my dad left to go get, popcorn or something, and they made us switch theaters, and I think I don't know how old it was, but I think I broke down crying. I don't know why. I was just panicked for some reason. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to move here. And it's the most, serious I was ever in a movie theater. I just think it's the most I cried in a movie theater too. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too. I don't remember a single thing about the movie. Just the events leading up to it were scarring. They were scarring to me.
Sounds like it. Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think that the theater is not dying. I don't think you can really recreate that anywhere else, especially when you have movies in IMAX, like Dune 2. I've been to the theater probably, I think, 3 times in the last week, twice for Dune 2.
Well, yeah, twice for Dune 2.
My first memory of the theater, it's kind of similar. I saw Toy Story 3, the first movie I saw in theaters, I think, with my mom and my sister. It was on the last day of school, in 3rd grade, I want to say, maybe 2nd. I don't really remember, but that movie rocked me. I also started crying in the theater. That's the first time I remember.
Different reasons, but yeah.
Oh man, that ending is just brutal. But
where they all hold hands and think they're gonna. Yeah, it's sad.
God, when he gives away the toys.
Yeah.
Come
oh
on.
wait. What's one where they're about to go into the trash compactor? Is that 3 too?
That's 3. Yeah.
Okay.
But then
he gives them away.
Scene,
yeah.
He drives all the toys.
I mean, talk about a pop culture thing too. That meme is everywhere still. You see it
So Long Partner.
Yeah. So Long Partner is it's a great meme template too.
Yeah. Now, undefeated. Pixar produces, amazing movies, obviously.
Obviously.
Top-tier memes, too.
Yeah, we just watched Monsters University 2 nights ago just because it's a great movie to throw on, and we were talking about it. It's going to be one of the most underrated Pixar movies. That's a great... It's hard to do a sequel that well, or a prequel that well, but, Monsters, Inc. and Monsters U nailed it.
Yeah, and especially when it's, how many years? 10 years after Monsters, Inc. at least?
A while. A lot, yeah.
I feel like a lot of franchises are trying to do that now, go back and try to rediscover what they found, but they can't really do it. Monsters U?
Monsters U nailed it. And I think, we were talking about what we were watching, but I think we have such a better appreciation for it, too, now that we're in college. It does feel so, no pun intended, scarily accurate to, college life and, here at Villanova. It feels the same kind of, If I was a monster, that's how I feel like college would go. It feels like they're humans, kind of. It's a great movie. It's very accurate. They did very, very nice job.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, especially, weather is so nice today. Everybody's on campus.
Oh, it's the opening scene where it's the quad. You get the quad with the I'm your RA and throwing a frisbee. It was spot on. We also want to talk a little bit about how we got into just movies and film and whatever. For me, my parents are big movie fans. Whenever I would just when we're watching TV, there's either a movie's on or like Everybody Loves Raymond. It's always one of two things. But like me and my family have a whole like cult list of movies where we've probably seen them each like 10 times in our lifetimes. But I mean, they really started me young. I mean, we're like, you know, like everybody else, probably, you know, family movie night, like a couple times a month, stuff like that. And then, I don't know, I guess maybe like high school and early college, I just got more and more into movies. And then, I mean, last year, you know, me and Nick are close friends, but we used to, I mean, sophomore year and freshman year especially, we were watching like 2 movies a week just because it was like, it's probably not a good thing to do in college, but we were watching movies, I mean, all the time. But, you know, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I also was influenced by my family. My parents are huge movie people, and my grandma actually got me really into Star Wars when I was a kid.
Nice.
And I feel like if you get into a franchise like that, it's so much easier because you just have like 10 movies to watch, you know? So that definitely got me in. And then I'd say another series, like the MCU was another series where I got really into.
Talk
like
about
early
fall
high
off
school.
though now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even seen.
I don't remember the last MCU movie I saw. Like, especially, it's definitely not in theaters. Like Spider-Man, it's the last Spider-Man.
Yep.
Whatever that one was, and that was good. But that was 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
They've fallen off. They've fallen. Let's start the amount of web jokes. And then favorite thing about movies, we got that down to just a little bit more about us. I don't know. It transports you a little bit for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, emotional responses to them. It's a good way to sort of escape, especially in college. I think that's why maybe we got into movies so much here. It's a nice way to sort of just like, if you're done your homework, everybody's hanging out, and you just want to like relax and watch a movie. It's a perfect way to end like a Tuesday night or like a Sunday night, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can also, there's so many options depending on the vibe you want.
Yeah.
You can get a Monsters University type movie, happy, you know, or you can go for something sadder, more action-packed. But yeah, I mean, for me,
that's too. There's everything. Everything.
Yeah, no, it's great. But for me, I think characters really like pull me into the movie. I think that's my favorite, like exploring people, you know. So I think that's why I got so into it over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we also want to plug. I mean, probably one of my most used apps. I'm sure it's one of your most used apps. Letterboxd is fantastic. What they're doing is great. We want to talk about. I mean, you've probably seen the clips over like TikTok and Instagram, like the 4 favorites. We want to talk about our 4 favorites because why not? I just changed my 4 favorites like 2 weeks ago. I changed 2 of my 4 favorites about 2 weeks ago. I had in there. I took out Field of Dreams. And I'm feeling bad about. I am feeling bad about it. And I took out The Fugitive, which I also feel bad about. But those are 2 like of my family cult movies right there. But I was like, like they're my favorite films, like absolutely. But it's like you gotta choose 4. So the 4 I currently have, they're great. In no particular order, I have Animal House, Interstellar, Boyhood, and 10 Things I Hate About You. I gotta shout out my sister for 10 Things I Hate About You. She put me onto that. I don't know, maybe a couple years ago. And she watches it probably once a month. I watch it probably once every 2 months. It's a great movie. It's a great rom-com, great feel-good movie too. Great ending. It's, you know, based on like a Shakespeare play. It's got everything. Yeah. Interstellar is just a classic. Animal House, just a new appreciation in college. That too. It's such a good like movie to watch with like your best friends too, because it's like they're the best. It's a great movie. And then Boyhood's like my, it's like a movie that I kind of appreciate the most just because of the, you know, 13-year journey he follows. If anybody doesn't know, he follows, you know, he hires an actor who's like 10 years old, and maybe even younger actually, and he, you know, they shoot maybe, you know, 15 minutes of footage for the next 13 years to compile a movie. And it basically begins with him like starting kindergarten and ends with him leaving for college. So it's a really, really good movie. It's long, a little over 3 hours, I think. But it's, you know, Richard Linklater does a great job. And, you know, actors are great in it. Patricia Arquette was nominated for an Oscar for it. Really, really good movie. And it's nothing like special. It's just a really, really cool concept. That, you know, it's always a good movie just to watch if you want to just, I don't know. It's such a unique movie to me that I really, really love. Thoughts on my 4?
So I have not seen Boyhood.
I know.
So I have to watch that. I love the director though. I've seen
Yeah, Linklater's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. Those other 3 though, fantastic.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
I think 10 Things I Hate About You. That cast too.
Oh, it's great, especially because it's
they're so young too.
So young, and like Heath Ledger, like one of the best acting performances of all time as the Joker. But like him and 10 Things I Hate About You is also fantastic. Patrick Verona is a great character.
Yeah.
I love him.
You watch those back to back.
I mean, if you throw on "I Love You, Baby" when he's singing it in the stadium for I can't remember her name, but
Sam.
What'd you say?
Sam, maybe.
Doesn't sound. Maybe it could be. I don't know. But I mean, that's a great scene in movies.
Yeah.
Let's hear your 4 favorites.
Fantastic. Yeah. So my 4 favorites, I do have an order actually.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah. Well, you have. We don't talk about it now, but you have what, a 1 through 100 list?
Yes.
Of
I
your.
actually just finished it. It took me.
Is
like 2
it up to
years.
100 or is it past?
It's exactly 100.
Okay. Nice.
Capped it off.
Yeah.
So I got Goodfellas, my favorite movie of all time.
Classic.
Then Good Will Hunting, Shawshank Redemption, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off for my top 4. And those movies are just. Besides for Shawshank, actually, I saw Shawshank for the first time like 2 years ago. But those other movies, I watched when I was probably like 10 with my parents for the first time. Good Will Hunting is my dad's favorite movie. Got to shout out him. That's wonderful.
That's the best. I mean, the story behind it all too just makes it so much better too.
Yeah.
I mean, Robin Williams performs in it too.
So
Again, another great cast. Skarsgård's great in it too. Yeah. And it's just like you gotta love Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Like, and Casey's in it. Like, as much as Good Will Hunting is like the like whole his redemption and all that, just the beginning is so good too. Yeah. Like the bar and when they get in the fight, it's great.
God,
it's
I
great.
love those apples.
Yes. Yeah. How you like them apples? I mean. It's so good and just
it's great. They also they like changed that script drastically. Like, because they were writing it in college. Yeah, Affleck and Damon. And originally it was gonna be like a lot more action packed, like a good amount of like adventure in the movie. And then they showed it to an editor. He's like, "Why are you having?" There was like car chases and stuff.
No, don't need it.
Why do you have all this?
Yeah,
you have like a perfect. Like psychological drama with like this character that's so captivating.
Great, intriguing character that is like trouble. I'd say he's such a good, well-written character.
Well.
Yeah,
and they ended up ditching like 60% of their plot, and thank God they did.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic.
The way it is. I wouldn't change a thing.
No.
Yeah, and the other movies, just briefly, Goodfellas. I think it is like one of the most cinematically beautiful movies I've ever seen. That long shot when they walk into the Copacabana Club.
With when I was
exactly. Yeah.
I wanted to dance. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're walking through like the back door and just he's saying hi to everybody. That
great.
is, I think, my favorite scene in any movie ever. Shawshank, I think, is probably the like most perfect movie.
I mean, it's the best.
Yeah, that's in there honestly, just because it's like.
I feel like
how do you not love that?
If Shawshank, if like somebody says Shawshank's in their top 4 favorite movies, it's like it's never and I'm like you can never get upset about that either because it's like a top 2 movie like objectively all the time, but like it's so good every time. It hits every time. It's so good.
I know that and like The Godfather are in a similar sphere.
Yeah.
Where like they're amazing. I don't love saying they're my favorites because it's just such a popular answer, but at the same time, you can't deny that.
Yeah.
And then we actually differ a little bit on Ferris Bueller. Which
we do. We do. I appreciate Ferris Bueller. I mean, you can get into why you like it in a second, but I appreciate Ferris Bueller. I don't love the character of Ferris Bueller that much. And I understand what he's doing in the movie, what his goals are. I don't know. I don't want to cheer for him. I don't like how he behaves towards his friends a lot. I mean, I don't know. But again, I don't. It's a very good movie. Like, I mean, no doubt, very good movie. I don't love the character of Ferris Bueller.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't treat Cameron the best. Absolutely.
No, but
it's just like that feeling that movie captures. It's so like reminiscent for me of like basically second semester senior year of high school, just like freedom, just doing whatever you want. I don't want to go to class today, let me go to the Cubs game.
It's great.
Let me like fake a food critic so I can go into a 5-star restaurant. I just think it's
Abe
so
Froman?
unique.
Abe Froman?
Abe Froman. Like the feeling of Ferris Bueller is just perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that like all shot in it's what, like 9 hours.
Yeah,
like it takes place.
Those are like that, and like that makes me think like of the Breakfast Club too, where it's like 2 hours, all in 2 hours. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean it's literally just his day off.
It's great. Yeah, it's great.
Nothing else. But I think those 4 make up my top 4 definitely.
And then the last thing we have to talk about, just a little introduction about us, is our favorite directors and why, and then our favorite movie from that director. I was thinking about this during class. It's like I want to say like Christopher Nolan, but that's such like a film bro answer, and like not that I don't want, like, not that Christopher Nolan's like not my favorite director, because he probably is. I mean, I think I've seen like I think I haven't seen like 1 Christopher Nolan movie, maybe 2 Christopher Nolan movies. Just his movies are so good.
Yeah.
and I just saw Oppenheimer in the summer in 70mm IMAX, and then I just saw Tenet in 70mm IMAX, and there's something about his visuals mixed with the suspense he builds for movies it's so good that we'll talk about Dune later, but it does a similar thing. But it's just his movies are so good, and he gets not a lot, but people will say the dialogue's not great in Interstellar, or it's easy to make good movies on $400 million budget, but he does it so well. And it's like if his worst movie's Tenet, or I haven't seen the following, but if his worst movie's Tenet, then I just bumped Tenet up to I think 4.5 stars because it takes 2.5 watches to figure it all out, but once you get through that second watch, you're like, wow, it's him just showing off. Which
definitely.
If you're into that stuff, then you'll love it. But if you're not, I can understand why it's like Tenet stinks. But Christopher Nolan, Interstellar's great. Oppenheimer just swept at the Oscars, which we'll talk about in a minute. But just so many hits from Christopher Nolan. Inception, it's so good.
Yeah.
He's just so many hits.
He's I think that's my answer too.
Yeah,
it might be boring, but it's just
we'll give one more. We'll give one more after this.
It's also like you're witnessing a run that's
it's
only
crazy
been done by
Hitchcock,
Scorsese, Spielberg, Hitchcock, like these greatest of all time, easy. And I think he's done enough to establish himself in that sphere with those guys. It's almost like watching in the NBA.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like it's so much greatness.
What you're like. It's gonna be great. You just know it's gonna be great.
I know. Yeah, it's. Tenet, I do have to rewatch. I didn't appreciate it.
It's hard.
It's
it's not an easy watch. It's not a casual watch.
You got to watch it once forwards, once backwards to get it. So
I see what you did there.
But yeah, from Nolan, I think Inception's my favorite. But Dark Knight, Memento.
The whole series is. The whole Batman series is
fantastic. I think forever though, my answer to this question was Fincher actually. For favorite director, but I really didn't love his most recent
Killer. I haven't seen it.
I didn't love The Killer. I didn't, and I think that Social Network, Seven, Fight Club, Gone Girl, Zodiac.
The fact that he can do Social Network and a movie like a movie like Social Network and a movie like Fight Club is it's really crazy. Because those are such. It's similar to how Nolan can do Oppenheimer and The Dark Knight. You couldn't have two more different sort of main subjects or main characters, and he just. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just their touch is so. And it's cool too because when you're watching a Fincher movie, when you're watching an Nolan movie, and maybe that's me growing up too because and watching more and more movies, but it's just the feel that they Fincher and Nolan, the feel that they put on their movies is so good.
Yeah, Social Network. It just shows the range. Seven, Fight Club have a similar vibe.
Yeah.
And then Gone Girl and Zodiac have a similar vibe to those. Not the exact same.
It's Social Network. Social Network's fantastic.
It's not like any other thing he's done, and I think it's his best. It's fantastic. It's also
acting's great in it too. The acting's
Mark Zuckerberg. I didn't expect that to be there's so much there.
Yeah.
That's just the story itself. He was blessed with that because it's just fantastic that actually happened. But
and it's similar to me. Then this is a good thing. It's very similar to me to Oppenheimer. It's because it's kind of the same thing's kind of going on. You're basically trial testimony, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg or Oppenheimer, and it's just so it's executed so well that sort of theme of the recounting of events through the eyes of the character is really really good. And Oppenheimer and Social Network do it so well.
Yeah, it's a really effective way to tell that story. Oppenheimer, I think, does it a little bit better, honestly, just because of the. It's more structured around it.
And it's
they're both fantastic.
He's also such a more the Social Network. You kind of there's just also the way you view those, the way you view Oppenheimer and the way you view Zuckerberg throughout that movie. You sympathize with Oppenheimer. You don't really sympathize with Zuckerberg ever.
Maybe you
feel bad for him just because he's he kind of ends up by himself a little bit, but you're not really.
Scene kind of establishes that he's not the best guy.
No, you have a great opening scene where the way to start that is it's the perfect way to start it.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think it because it's not related at all to what
actually
happens.
No, but it just sets his character. Yeah, it's great.
All right, framed it really well.
He does. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. We'll be back right after this. Talk a little bit of Oscars. You're listening to the TwoMan Show, only on V89.1 The Roar. Welcome back to the TwoMan Show here on V89.1 The Roar. I am Dominic Richetti, joined alongside Nicholas Caruso. And Nick, it's time to dive into what happened this past Sunday It was the 96th annual Oscars, Academy Awards, whatever you want to call them, and I watched the beginning of them. I watched up until Downey won for Best Supporting. They started with Best Supporting Actress, and I thought they did. Maybe I was wrong, but I thought they did Best Supporting Actress and Supporting Actor right after, but they didn't. So I watched like I thought they did too. Yeah. So I watched like the international feature film and like the visual effects, makeup, all that stuff. But it's interesting anyway because you do get kind of see, like, especially for the movies I hadn't seen. It was cool kind of to see, like, I haven't seen Poor Things yet, and that won 4 Oscars. Oppenheimer won 7 Oscars. We might watch Poor Things next week as part of our show. We'll see. But Downey won for Best Supporting, gave a great speech. Oppenheimer won 7 Oscars. Poor Things was second with 4. Oppenheimer did win Best Picture. We'll get into our thoughts about that. Was it deserved? Absolutely. I mean, I think I didn't see all the Best Pictures, but I saw a good amount of them. I didn't think any. I mean, other ones I saw, I didn't think anything came close. It was such a good movie on such a perfect subject for today's world too. It was a movie made sort of at the right time, and it was perfectly made, perfectly cast. I mean, the cast in Oppenheimer. Is great, and everybody gives a knockout performance. I mean, everybody gives a knockout performance. Everybody from from Killian to like Rami Malek, who's in it for 3 minutes, but completely steals the show. I thought I saw it twice in IMAX. It was great both times. Me and my dad saw it when it first came out in July, and then they re-released it. I think maybe like October or November when me and Nick actually were in London. And I went to go see it at the British Film Institute, which is really, really good. But again, both times and I was a little not worried, but I was like, I don't know if it's going to be as good the second time because it's a movie that you feel like would hit really hard the first time because it's a little bit of a biopic, so it's like once you see a biopic, you've seen it 1,000 times, right? But I don't. It hit again. I actually bumped it up from a 4.5 to a 5 the second time after I saw it.
It's fantastic. This is one of the only times in recent memory where I can think there's only one answer for this Best Picture. Mm-hmm. If anything else would have won, it would have I don't know, it would have been either proof that there's a vendetta against Nolan or just don't want to give it the most popular, but it was by far the most popular, and it was by far the best. Mm-hmm. You talked a little bit about the cast. I mean, it's so massive, the movie. There's so many different moving parts, Yes. But everybody's fantastic. I mean, Florence Pugh isn't in it for much. She's great. Yeah. And I thought that Downey Jr. definitely deserved to win Best Supporting too. Yeah, we'll get into him in a minute, but I mean, even he wasn't in it. Like, he didn't feel like he had, because my dad was saying this too, because we were watching his speech, and he's like, I feel like Downey was only on screen for 10 minutes, and he kind of maybe only was on screen for 10 minutes, but his scenes, I mean, most of his scenes take place in an office, right, where it's just him talking to his lawyers and advisors or whatever, and I mean, he absolutely dominates that role. He's so powerful in that performance. When he's on screen, you're only looking at one person. Besides for when at the end Malik steals the show, which is awesome. Because that's what happened in real life. It's great. It's great. Awesome.
It's also great how they painted, Louis Strauss as such a unique and good villain that he had this personal, almost vendetta against Oppenheimer, and then Rami Malek. I mean, in the end, they both kind of lose, but Rami Malek comes in and just basically saved the day because I forget he was going to be part of the
he was going to be chairman.
Was going to be. He may have been.
Basically in charge of the U.S.'s nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, it was something crazy, and which was. I mean, it was great. It was, the ending of that movie was great. But I mean, I think without a doubt, deserved it. Taking a look at the other Best Pictures, the ones I've seen. I've seen Barbie. I've seen The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon. I've seen Past Lives. And I've seen Zone of Interest. Out of the ones I've seen, my runner-up would probably be... it's hard because these movies are all very, very different. I think I would give my runner-up to The Holdovers, which, against, I guess, now controversial with all the plagiarism stuff now, which was crazy. But I thought that was really good. I thought that was a movie that was both unique, and unique a little bit, but also... similar to movies like Dead Poets Society, where it's, student-teacher relationship that, sort of is relatable and sad and funny. I thought it was a really, really good movie. I thought Paul Giamatti did a great job. He'd probably be my runner-up for Best Actor, which is next, or we'll talk about in a couple of seconds. But I think I would give it to The Holdovers. Barbie was good. I thought it was it was really great. You know, it was funny. I understand it wasn't made for me. Like, I get that. But I saw it with my entire family, who are all girls. They all loved it. I wore pink to the movie theater. It was a great time.
Sweet.
Killers of the Flower Moon, and I enjoyed. I thought it was maybe half hour too long. A little slow for me, but again, very, very good. Excellent movie. I mean, that boy doesn't miss, obviously. Past Lives, same thing. It was Past Lives' strongest thing is its dialogue, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And then Zone of Interest, you and I saw together. Again, I recognize how good it was. It's just not my type of movie.
Yeah,
which I think is similar
that's
to
the same
you.
way I feel about it. Like, I can recognize how this is really good. I mean,
it's impactful.
The
It
way
makes
they're
it
able to show
yeah.
like the horrors of what happened in the Holocaust through just like background noise it's like, I mean, it's
crazy.
frightening. It's
Yeah.
downright frightening. You can hear screams, but I just wasn't really pulled into the movie. I think it had to be doing a little bit more on screen than it was off screen, and I know why they didn't, but yeah, just not for me. I think that people are gonna love it, and I get that, and I think it's an important movie to go see.
Sure.
I think that despite how I feel about it, I am very glad I saw it. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
I have a similar top four from the Oscars. The Holdovers, definitely my second favorite. That and Past Lives were both. I thought
great.
Oppenheimer, Holdovers, and Past Lives were the three best movies that came out in the last year.
And I've heard good things about Anatomy of a Fall. That one best adapted.
I think so.
And original was American Fiction, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those.
I haven't seen either of
I've
those
heard good
either.
things.
So I probably should, because I mean, adapted screenplay and original screenplay you want to see. But out of the ones I saw, I think Holdovers was great. Yeah.
And I think Barbie, I really, really enjoyed Barbie.
Yeah,
Did
I
you,
enjoyed Barbie too. Like I was an enjoyable movie, but I think if I'm it elicits a more emotional response for women, which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
It's not me, you know.
Yeah. Did you do Barbenheimer? Did you see them both on the same day?
I didn't. I know. Did you?
out.
You did?
Yes.
How was that
back to back.
experience?
It was amazing.
Barbie first,
Barbie
right? Yeah.
I was
have
exactly
to.
gonna
Have
say
to.
that.
Yeah.
You have to see Barbie first. Walk into Barbie after seeing Oppenheimer, and man,
Wow.
that would be funny. But yeah, that was little appetizer with Barbie. Main course Oppenheimer. That was a great day.
Nice.
Cultural phenomenon too. I mean, everybody was doing that.
I mean, it was great. And I don't know. I guess maybe I just haven't been in like the movie realm that much, but I feel like nothing like that has ever happened, where it's just such a great movie. And I don't know. Like, I wonder if they did schedule them to release on the same day, because if they did, that's genius marketing, because it came up with like a huge social media and like movie presence, that it was like Barbenheimer. I mean, that's probably gonna be in the dictionary one day.
Oh yeah,
because it's just it was great, and two great movies, both nominated for Best Picture. I mean, it's rare that something like that ever happens, and two just so opposite. And I mean, the last point I want to make about Best Picture is, as much as how successful Oppenheimer was, Barbie made more money. I mean, those two, I don't know what the numbers are on that, but both over $1 billion combined. I mean, I was just reading Nolan made close to $100 million just himself for directing Oppenheimer, just because he had a clause in his contract about he gets a certain percent of the gross money that movie makes. But I mean, I thought it was a great year for movies.
Yeah, it was, and it was really important, I think, to have that kind of call to the theaters right now, especially after COVID. We talked a little bit before about how people think the theater's dying. I mean, I didn't think that beforehand, but after this, there's clear evidence that people are wanting to go to the theaters. So I think that's great. I will say I can't believe that Margot Robbie was not nominated for Best Actress. That was surprising.
That's shocking. And then Gosling was nominated. Hey, I think he's supporting though. I don't know if he's supporting or Best Actor. I think he's just supporting. But I thought he was. I didn't think he was like anything special in it. I thought he did his part really well, but I don't know if he.
Yeah, and it wasn't even on him either. I just don't think that there was that much to give.
And he was kind of playing a doofus.
Yeah,
which is what he should like. That's the way. Yeah, because it's like reverse Bechdel says. It was great. Yeah.
My God. Yeah.
And then moving on, Best Director, Christopher Nolan finally wins his Oscars, I guess, with Oppenheimer, and Best Director. But I mean, again, very, very well deserved. It was a long time coming for him. Really, really happy. I also didn't realize that he's married to Emma Thomas, the girl, like the person that produces all of his movies, is his wife.
I did not know that either.
And that was
really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure if nobody knows who Emma Thomas is, if you look up a picture of her, you've probably seen her like on red carpets with Christopher Nolan all the time. But he did a nice thing in his speech where he's like, "Thank you to my wife who produces all my movies and all my children as well." Like, it was really, really funny. And I thought he gave a great speech for when he won. But I think he absolutely deserved to win. In terms of who I would put up second, again, only movie I've seen that was nominated, or I've seen two of these. Killers of the Flower Moon was nominated. Of course, that's Martin Scorsese. And Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer was nominated too. I actually wouldn't have been upset if they gave it to Jonathan Glazer just because of how much it meant to him as a person. I mean, same with Bradley Cooper, but he wasn't even nominated for directing. But, you know, a man with Jewish history from the UK writes a movie, you know, in such a hard subject like that. It's like Oppenheimer is such a good movie that is so important for our culture. But Zone of Interest, I think, is like on par with that too.
Absolutely, yeah, and just. I mean, he definitely separated himself. That was a unique movie, if you can't say anything else. So if, like, he won, yeah, I would not have been mad. You know, it's a movie that makes you think, and I think that that's really important to have now. You know, with a lot of we talked a little about the downfall of Marvel.
And he won International Feature Film and gave a nice speech too. I thought he did, but I think he gave a nice a speech when he won that about, you know, the meeting to him and all that, which was really nice. Because, I mean, brought home an Oscar. International Feature Film is a huge category to win.
Yeah, that's massive.
And then the other thing we wanted to bring up, just for all around Best Director, Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, goes 0 for 10. 10 nominations, 0 wins, and that's his third film to go 0 for 10 in Oscar nominations, joining Gangs of New York and The Irishman.
Yeah, that doesn't even sound real.
Yeah, and I forget, when's the last time he won an Oscar? It's not Departed, right? He's got, maybe it's got to be, right?
I think so.
But I mean, 3 0 for 10 is nuts, and that's across the board for like acting and editing and you know, visuals, all that. 0 for 10 is crazy. We'll actually transition right into best. We'll skip Best Actor. We'll get to Best Actor after Best Actress. But Best Actress, the huge thing was it was going to be Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone. Again, I haven't seen Poor Things, but I've heard great things about it. I'll talk about how I thought Lily Gladstone was really, really good in Killers of the Flower Moon. I thought she was the perfect person for that role. I mean, Native American woman playing, you know, that character who has, you know, a deep understanding and deep meaning of, you know, that history was perfect. She did great in that movie. I think she could have won Best Actress. I don't know how good Emma Stone was in Poor Things. I haven't seen it, but that was basically the whole. That was really the only, like, out of the main 5 questions, was it going to be Emma Stone or Lily Gladstone? Yeah. But Emma Stone wins her second Best Actress, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch Poor Things to see how that performance played out. But I mean, I just, at this point in her career, I trust Emma Stone's fantastic in everything she's in.
I mean, La La Land rocks.
But yeah, I thought Gladstone's performance was really, really good. People were saying that it's like the race is over when it came out, and like, she should have won. I didn't feel as strongly as some other people did about the performance. I thought it was really good, but yeah, I have to go back and watch Poor Things.
I cast my vote,
but out of the films I've seen that had actress nominations, I definitely would have gave it to Gladstone.
Yeah. And she was great. Other people nominated. Annette Bening for Nyad. I haven't seen it. Sandra Hüller was nominated for Anatomy of a Fall and is also in Zone of Interest, which was crazy. Carey Mulligan for Maestro. And then Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. And then Emma Stone obviously won for Poor Things. Great category. Great, 5 actresses in this. And I know we'll get to supporting in a second, but I mean, Jodie Foster picking up a nomination was cool. Her and De Niro, they said it on the Oscars broadcast. They had both been nominated in '76 for Taxi Driver or something like that, and now it's, what is it, 47 years later, 48 years later, almost 50 years later, they're both being nominated for Oscars still, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then Best Actor, Cillian Murphy takes it home. I think this was the easiest one to give away this year. I mean, the whole thing coming out, surrounding Oppenheimer was Cillian Murphy finally gets to be Christopher Nolan's leading man and absolutely killed it. I mean, because a lot of Christopher Nolan movies don't have a lot of enough character focus to be nominated for Best Actor. Nobody in Inception's getting nominated for Best Actor. Nobody in The Dark Knight's getting nominated for Best Actor. But Oppenheimer was the movie where it's like, this is when you can win Best Actor. He cast Cillian Murphy, which, not that was a risk. Cillian Murphy's a fantastic actor, but first time he's leading in a Christopher Nolan movie and absolutely dominates. Bradley Cooper was nominated for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and then Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Only other one I've seen is The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti, and I thought he was very good in it. I think in other years, Paul Giamatti probably wins, but
absolutely.
Cillian Murphy just absolutely blew it away in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I thought the Giamatti performance was really, really strong. He just unfortunately had to compete against Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, which is not fair, you know. But yeah, his performance was really, really good. It's similar to me of Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society. Just really like makes that movie happen. You know, it's because of Paul Giamatti's performance that everybody loved it so much. And I forget the actor's name who plays the kid, but he was really good too, I thought.
In Oppenheimer or Dead Poet Society?
In The Holdovers.
Oh, Dominic Sessa.
Yes. Yeah. And that was his first.
His first movie. I think his first act.
Yeah,
it may have been his first acting role,
so.
like something like that. But yeah, he was really, really good in it too. Yeah, he had a great sort of character arc, and I mean, The Holdovers, again, a strong part of it is the dialogue and the writing in The Holdovers is fantastic too, similar to like Past Lives, where just the dialogue and the writing, like that's what blew you away. Like Oppenheimer, the dialogue blew you away, the visuals blew you away, the cast blew you away, the acting blew you away, everything blew you away. Yeah, the bomb blew you away. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I thought Giamatti was great in that.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't even talked about the Best Supporting Actress who won from The Holdovers. She was fantastic.
She was fantastic too. Divine Joy Randolph went to Temple, which is cool. I'm not sure if anybody from Temple's ever won an Oscar before, but yeah, she was great. She gave a great speech, and she was talking about in her speech that she wore her grandmother's glasses in the movie.
Oh wow!
As like a tribute to her, and she was like, I wanted to play the character through my grandma's eyes. It was a really cute speech. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, she absolutely killed it. Well deserved. Other people nominated for that, supporting Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, and Jodie Foster for Nyad. But yeah, I mean, Divine Joy Randolph absolutely killed it. She was great.
Yep.
And then Best Supporting was Robert Downey Jr. He finally gets his Oscar. I mean,
what a journey.
What a journey. He gave a great speech too. He's just such a lovable guy, such a funny guy too. But I mean, we talked about it earlier. He absolutely killed it as Louis Strauss. I mean, he dominated the scenes he was in. He was, vindictive. He was aggressive. He had this real anger towards Oppenheimer, and he played like that role of like a not corrupt politician, but like sneaky politician very, very well.
Yeah.
And like a self-centered one so well. Where it's like, I mean, that last line from what's that guy's name that plays Han Solo? I forget his name, but where he's like, maybe you and Einstein were talking about something, or maybe him and Einstein were talking about something more important than you were. And it's I mean, it's a great last line, and the end of Oppenheimer. I mean, the ending of Oppenheimer is just so perfect too.
Yeah, it wraps up beautifully.
It wraps up so nicely.
And that scene with Einstein is a really good scene because they show it twice, and you don't hear it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of see how Stroud saw it. You know. And it makes the second time you see it a lot more powerful. You know, it's like a mic drop, and you're like, wow,
great.
My god. But yeah, he was. I mean, he felt kind of just like slimy when he was on the screen.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. You hated him because you were like, they built up Oppenheimer so well to be this sympathetic, troubled man who's dealing with like a crisis, like a mental crisis, and then Strauss is trying just to destroy his career. Like, sorry, he's gone through enough already as it is. But yeah, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy absolutely killed it. I mean, Emily Blunt was really good in it too. She was nominated for Best Supporting. Josh Hartnett was really good in it too. I forget who he plays in it, but he's the doctor next door who's builds the stuff, build the bomb. He was really good. The guy from 10 Things I Hate About You was great in it. Krumholtz, I think. Dr. Krumholtz. I think it's Krumholtz.
Yeah,
that might be the actor's name.
Right.
That might be the actor's name. But I thought he was great. He was funny. He was like Oppenheimer's first friend on like the train and stuff. He was great.
He was hilarious.
But I mean, excellent cast. Drake and Josh popped up in it. Like you can't.
Roderick.
Roderick popped up. Everybody came along for the ride. And then I mean, Benny Safdie too.
Yeah.
Was just sneaking around. And then I think the most surprising part of the movie is just Casey Affleck. Casey Affleck could have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor when he shows up.
Oh my god.
And just I mean, that scene in that office is crazy. I mean, Louis Strauss, you fear Louis Strauss a little bit, or you hate him a little bit. You there's real I fear Casey Affleck in this scene. I fear him and what he can do.
I agree. I think there's more hate for Stroud than there is fear, but you are scared of Casey Affleck's character.
Terrified.
That was an impressive performance. He's on screen for maybe 45 seconds.
It's crazy, and I love Casey Affleck. I mean, Manchester by the Sea is one of my favorite movies too. I mean, he kills it though. I mean, Good Will Hunting too. Like I mean, shout out Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
Shout out
his
both
journey.
Affleck brothers.
Think about him in Good Will Hunting. He's just the goofball.
He's the
that
goofball.
sits in the back
And
of the
he
car.
does it so well.
Yeah, he does that great. And then, like 20 years later, all of a sudden, Manchester by the Sea, Best Actor.
Best actor. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really impressive. I thought that Casey Affleck was awesome in that.
Yeah, and then the last thing we want to talk about for the Oscars, Best Original Song, What Was I Made For? Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas won that. That's Billie Eilish's second Oscar. I think she's like 22 years old. She might be 21 years old. She might be the same age as I am.
Scorsese.
Yeah, passing Scorsese, which is crazy. And then she sang her song live. Ryan Gosling sang the I'm Just Ken song live. And did you watch that performance?
Yes.
That was great. That was one of the best Oscar performances, I think, in a long time.
Yeah.
And I saw like a breakdown of all the references he had for like Marilyn Monroe and something else I forget. And he had like his co-stars from it too. Were backing him up dancing, which was cool. Brought out Slash to play the guitar. Like it was just a great performance. And I'm happy they do. I do like that they do stuff like that. Like I remember when we used to watch a video all the time of Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga doing Shallow live at the Oscars, and the performances are. I don't remember performances ever being this good at the Oscars. Like usually the Grammys have great performances because it's the Grammys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Oscars, they were great this year, and
Yeah.
I thought Billie Eilish was great. And Ryan Gosling doing I'm Just Ken was fantastic too.
Yeah. Did you see there's like a picture of Scorsese. He's like
loving it. Yeah, he's loving it.
When Eminem performed either last year or 2 years ago, there's a picture of him in the audience just with like the most stern face.
That's great. He's great.
So if Marty likes it, then
it's got to be a good thing.
Yep.
And I just want to give our final thoughts about the Oscars. I'm a fan of watching the Oscars. I know they're grueling to watch because they do drag on for like 3.5 hours, which is rough. I do like that this year they did for Best Actress and Best Actor brought out. I don't know if you saw this 5 winners of that Best Actor or Best Actress, and they spoke directly to like one of the persons that was nominated, which was really, really cool. I liked how they did that. The problem is it just takes up like 15 minutes, but again, it's a Sunday night. What else are you watching? No football on or anything like that. So I'm a fan of watching the Oscars. I thought the best speech of the night. I thought Downey gave a really good speech. Cillian Murphy's speech was really good too. Nolan's such like a straightforward guy, so like he didn't. I mean, he had a nice funny line about it to his wife, which was cool. But I think RDJ gave my favorite speech of the night, talking about like how far he's come in 25 years with his substance abuse problems and all that. But I thought he was great.
Yeah. I didn't catch much of the Oscars this year.
Yeah, it's hard, especially during school year and Sunday night's hard.
And I mean, I went back and watched the speeches. I thought that Nolan's actually was strong. When he talked about the fact that like this art form is just so new, like movies are 100 years old, like 120 years old.
Yeah, and he's part of it.
Like, could you imagine what like plays looked like in like Greece in like 480, right? It's nuts. So he's like, we don't know where this is gonna go. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're all joining me. And that was, I thought, like a really, really good sentiment.
Yeah.
It's also so many times speeches are just like laundry lists of thank yous and mentions, but that wasn't what he did. He really wanted to get his point across. You could tell he's been brewing on this speech.
Absolutely.
Forever.
He's been waiting.
2014 probably had that ready for Interstellar.
Yeah.
But,
he was great.
I thought that was a really nice like take on the Oscar speech. It was definitely different, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I do kind of tune out the speeches when it's not like actors or directors most of the time, just because I don't know those people. But yeah, I thought RDJ gave a great speech. Nolan gave a great speech. Killian's was funny too. He was like, I'm a proud Irishman, which was cool. So I mean, dominated. I loved the Oscars. I thought the Oscars were actually really, really good this year. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel's just like he's a good host. I mean, he's nothing special to me. John Mulaney came out and did recited Field of Dreams, which I mean, I love Field of Dreams, and that was hilarious. But I thought that was really, really funny. But yeah, I love the Oscars this year. I watched a good amount of them, and I went back and watched some of the speeches and performances, which was fun. I didn't realize they did like a press room after them too. Yeah. I didn't watch those because I don't know what's going on in those. But yeah, I love the Oscars this year.
Yeah. We actually saw the transition in here to Dune 2, but we actually saw Dune 2 in 70mm the night of the Oscars.
Oh yeah, I forgot we did.
That was
wow.
Yeah. So we had a jam-packed day there of movies, but I thought that was a nice way to wrap up the 2023 award season.
Yeah, right into probably what's going to win the Best Picture for next year. We'll talk about Dune 2 right after this break. We're going to take a quick break here on V89.1 The Roar. Nick and I will be back talk all about Dune 2, a movie we've both seen twice already. We'll be back in just a second. And welcome back to the Two-Man Show here on V89.1 The Roar. And before we even say anything else about Dune 2, I do want to talk about the name of our show real quick, because we didn't really make that clear. That is a play on the Truman Show. We're going for the Two-Man Show. It's funny. We're going to end the broadcast in a nice way. We'll get to that later, but that is what that's a play on. It works both ways. You can say Two-Man, so it sounds like Truman. You can say Two-Man, because there's two of us. It works both ways. I like our name. It's up for interpretation, which I think is good.
Yep.
So let's talk about Dune 2 a little bit. I mean, I've seen it twice. You've seen it twice. I do think it got better the second time too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought that. I mean, honestly, I think my favorite part about that movie is that you don't necessarily need to watch the first to enjoy the second. Like I mean, you'll love it if you watch the first, but as a standalone, you can totally go in and watch that with no knowledge, and that's just to me like a perfect representation of a good movie within a franchise when you don't need to really know, like 3 novels worth of lore.
Oh yeah, and especially a subject like Dune, where there is so much like lore and details and characters. I agree, because you open with the movie opens with this is a no spoiler review, by the way. We're not going to do any spoilers, but it opens with Timothée Chalamet with the people he's with. We're going to spoil Dune 1 because if you haven't seen Dune 1, that's on you. But opens with him now with the Fremen, and I mean you can kind of just start there, because everything that happens in Dune 1, not that it doesn't matter, like it kind of it builds up a lot, and then it kind of leads to where at the beginning it leads last 10 minutes everything changes and it leads right into Dune 2, which Dune 1's fan. I like Dune 1 a lot more now after Dune 2, but I was high on Dune 1 anyway. I thought it was really, really good. Dune Part 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve, spearheaded by Timothée Chalamet, who's right now is killing it at the box office right now. I mean, Timothée Chalamet is killing it in general. Receiving critical acclaim. It's way too early to tell, but it's probably definitely going to be nominated for Best Picture. At least I hope so, because it was just that good.
Yeah, I mean, just think about this was supposed to come out last November. Can you imagine if the
Oppenheimer
Oscars
and Dune 2
had Dune 2 and Oppenheimer going head to head? That would have been the most watched Oscars of all time. Honestly, I don't know which one I would give it to. I think I probably would still give it to Oppenheimer, but Dune 2 is phenomenal. And I'm pretty confident that it's going to be at least nominated, if not win Best Picture. It's almost like when you saw Oppenheimer and it was like, okay, this is kind of a foregone conclusion here. It's so good, and it's even more drastic because it's so early in the cycle. It's March. Oppenheimer came out at least middle of the year, July. Yeah. So you had seen some of the things that had come out. I feel like I don't have to watch a single movie, and I could cast a vote that represent the best movie of the year.
And I'm thinking about it right now. I can't think of another movie coming out this year. I think it's Furiosa this year, the Mad Max series.
Yeah.
That's a series I haven't seen yet.
I have not watched any of them.
I heard the one with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. I heard is really, really good. But that's supposed to come out this year. I don't remember what else is supposed to come out this year. But we'll see. I hope there's some competition. I mean, for the sake of just as a viewer, I hope there's some competition for it. Favorite part of Dune 2 for me, I think I did really like the acting in it. I thought Chalamet was great. I thought he was fantastic. I thought his transition from one part to the next is great. Which if you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But I thought he was great in it. I thought Javier Bardem was hilarious in the best ways, in the most perfect sci-fi way, where it's jokes within the he's making jokes within the context of the world he's in, which was perfect. Lady Jessica's perfect in it too. Great cast. Rebecca Ferguson is fantastic in that. Josh Brolin again is good, and then who really steals the show in my opinion, I thought Austin Butler was great as Fred Rotha, the Baron. He's the nephew of the Baron, the Harkonnen Baron. So
that's another great.
Skarsgård is great in it too.
Oh my god, terrifying. Did you see he has 8-hour process every day for cosmetics? Oh my god, could you imagine? What do you think he's sitting in that pool?
I don't. It's if you guys haven't seen the movie, he sits in this black goop as part of I think they say it's healing in the first one because he's like sort of deformed, scarred being. So he's in some sort of goop, but he's the whole the really aspect I really loved about this movie is you see a lot more. I mean, you see a lot more of the Harkonnens, which is really, really cool without, giving away too much. You see, a lot more of the Harkonnens than you do it in the first Dune, which is great because it kind of builds that rivalry between the Harkonnens and the House Atreides, which is probably a really, really important, part of at least the first one and especially the second one too, which is really, really important. And seeing more about the Harkonnens, lets you, have more feelings about them. Put it that way. You know what I mean?
And I really like the way they introduced that too, because, I mean, Paul says in the movie, like, we've been fighting this house for centuries. So there's clearly tons and tons of history, but it's not in your face in the first movie whatsoever.
And you can tell, like, I hate these guys. The first one, you're like, I don't like these guys.
It's like, and I think it really portrays, like, the deep hatred they have for each other, because it's not, like, obvious. It comes out through their actions and how they talk about each other and what they're thinking.
What they do.
What they do.
They're a big event in that.
So I think that was a really cool relationship that they explored, and I wasn't expecting it either. I wasn't expecting the Harkonnens to be more prevalent, honestly.
No, and
they
were.
They
really were.
If anything, less. I thought the Emperor would be a bigger deal.
Yeah,
and Christopher Walken's the Emperor.
Christopher Walken's the Emperor. Florence Pugh plays his daughter, which is just that's just fun. Like,
and I think they're going to be bigger in the
that's
next
what
movie.
I mean, that's what it seems like based on
what happens at
the end of 2. But I mean, they were great. And then we learned. I mean, maybe you knew this, but the actual book Dune is narrated by the character, or maybe not narrated by the princess, but the character Florence Pugh plays. And you can kind of get a hint in that in the new Dune. But I think my favorite part, just wrapping up this little segment, my favorite part, I think of the acting. I loved the acting. I love the cast of this. The visuals were fantastic, and then the plot objectively is one of the best plots we've had in this century, if not in movie history. I mean, it's truly fantastic.
It's the, I mean, everyone's saying it, but it's the Empire Strikes
Back.
That's
the next thing I have here. Where's this rank in terms of sci-fi comparisons to Empire Strikes Back?
I mean, just there's so many similarities that are obvious. It's the second movie in a trilogy. It introduces the main conflict that seems like it's going to take over. Right?
Yeah.
And they do it in such a good way. I think I like Empire Strikes Back a little bit better.
And I said that I said that to my dad. I was like, before I saw the movie, I was like, it's getting comparisons to Empire Strikes Back. Hey. And he's like, don't even joke around about that. I came and listen, I gave Dune 2, I think 4.5 on Letterboxd. Which I might change it up to a 5. It is that good. It is that good. And I don't give out 5s easily. Yeah. Check my Letterboxd. I don't give out my 5s easily. But Empire Strikes Back is just the best.
It's special. It's really special. It's also, I feel like most people have seen that when they're younger. And it holds a special place in your heart. Yeah. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite part about Dune was honestly like the visuals and just like the directing. I thought that Denis did a fantastic job. The scale of this movie is so ridiculous, and like we were lucky enough to be in one of like the 70 millimeter IMAX movie theaters. It's right next to Villanova, so we got to see it in the full scale, and it was special. It was really special. Those aerial shots are ridiculous.
Yes,
the worms they are. It's you honestly. It's like looking at like art.
Oh yeah,
right? Like it feels a lot to me like 2001, like Space Odyssey.
2001 is
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like Interstellar, very similar. Nolan and Denis do similar things.
Yeah.
And you can tell they both like, they're good at what they're doing, but they're doing it because they love it. They're not doing it because they're good at it.
Yeah.
Like they really love movies and they want to show people stories that people want to see. And I think that they're best. Those are the best two.
And they don't like, they just don't have any bad. Like they don't miss. Like they're all like they're both on such good runs, which is. Especially like if you're into like Nolan's not really sci-fi, but his genre's very close to sci-fi. It's more like I don't know what you even call that.
He plays around with time a lot.
Time. His time genre. His genre is time. And the Denis a lot of sci-fi. Yeah. But he does like Prisoners. Yeah, Other Worlds thing. Which is one of the last things we'll talk about. But yeah, in terms of ranking this in like other sci-fi franchises, I have Star Wars, Blade Runner, Alien up here. Unless the third one is as maybe on par with the second one. I don't know if it'll ever pass Star Wars, just because
it's hard to do that.
Star Wars is like the most iconic movie franchise of all time, and not that there's, I mean, Dune 1 and 2 are both fantastic. And I feel like Dune 1's on par with A New Hope, and I feel like Dune 2 is up, arguably on par with Empire Strikes Back. And I think also what Dune 2 does great, you know what you're getting in Dune 3.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's going down in Dune 3, and it's very similar to Return of the Jedi. The ending of Empire Strikes Back is fantastic with Han Solo getting frozen.
Yeah.
And Luke's kind of completed his training. It's a great way. In Dune 2, the ending is very, very similar, which is great.
It is. That movie definitely makes you think too. Like the first time I watched it versus the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it very much both times.
Oh yeah.
But, like I would find myself like thinking about like the characters in different senses.
Mm-hmm.
The second time, Paul is. First of all, go watch this movie because
don't say anything too much. But Paul's great in it.
Paul's
Chalamet's
character
great.
is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And the novels were actually written before Star Wars, so Anakin, the character of Anakin is based partially on Paul Atreides.
There's no doubt.
So it's like really interesting to see how that character plays out.
Yeah, I'm excited for Dune 3, and I'm pretty sure Dune 3 is confirmed, right?
Yeah,
it's a while away though.
Breaks.
I think
Chalamet and Denis are not like they have other projects in between. I think Chalamet's trying to go back to like independent movies.
Maybe,
for at least a little bit.
So I think we have a while away on that, and this is unrelated, but Batman 2 just got delayed till I think 2026.
Yeah,
which that stinks because I loved the Batman. I thought it was.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was better than Dark Knight. I maybe better than Dark Knight Rises though.
I
close.
think I would agree. It's
Batman rocks. I thought Robert Pattinson's Batman was like I thought that was better than Christian Bale's Batman.
Yep.
It's just Christian Bale is so good at being Bruce Wayne. Yeah. And not that Pattinson was bad at it. He was if you've seen the Batman, he's a lot more darker in it, a lot more. I don't know if emo is the right word, but it kind of feels like the right word.
Yeah, he's just not as eccentric,
Yeah, he's not as playboy.
So it's a different take on the character,
which I liked. I think
if you like that,
it's a different take.
Yeah,
it's a completely different movie than The Dark Knight and other Batmans for sure.
Yeah, I think I prefer Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne.
No, without question. Yeah,
it's different. You're getting different things, and the Batman, like him as Batman, is great, incredible.
Oh yeah,
incredible.
Yeah. And then last thing we talk a little bit about Denis Villeneuve, and his sort of run he's been on a little bit. Where does this rank in terms of his filmography? I have a list of the Denis movies I've seen. I'm sure you do too. Mm-hmm. I've seen 5 of his. I've seen Blade Runner. I've seen Dune. I've seen Arrival. I've seen Sicario, and I've seen Prisoners. And now I've seen Dune 2. I have Blade Runner as my favorite from Denis. I love. Mm-hmm. I've watched both the Blade Runners this past summer. I've rewatched the second one, but I watched the first one for the first time, and then watched this one from Denis. And the second Blade Runner with the context of the first one makes it like 10 times better, which rocks. I think Dune 2 Part 2 is definitely his best movie.
Yep,
I don't think it's all these movies are fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
These are all like
he has not missed.
He has not missed, and I haven't seen all his movies, but Sicario I just watched with our boy Mike Blake the other day, and it was great. He gave it 5 stars. I gave it a 4.5. I think I have all of his movies are 4.5 or a 5. All of them are fantastic.
So I've seen first and second Dunes, Arrival, Prisoners, and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But I did have a massive blunder and did not realize that the first Blade Runner was important in context of the second. I did not appreciate it.
It's hard. It's not that you need to see Blade Runner 1 for Blade Runner 2049, but it does add so much more once you do.
I got to go back.
We gotta rewatch.
Watch that right, because that's the only one I'm a little bit lower on. Dune 1, Dune 2, Arrival, Prisoners, fantastic.
Yeah.
Dune 2 just edges out Arrival for me.
Yeah.
I think Arrival's
really,
great.
Really
cool. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's still on brand with like the sci-fi, but it feels a little bit like Social Network, where it's different from the rest of the movies, And I thought that take on aliens with linguistics was really, really smart, unique, and just I thought that movie was amazing.
And then the last thing we're going to talk about today, just a little bit tidbit and a little bit thoughts on Denis and his sort of directing. I was reading stuff when Dune 2 was coming out that Denis can really only do the sci-fi action genre, and I think this is an easy disagree, just because it seems like he does Blade Runner, does these Dunes, he does Arrival, but Sicario and Prisoners are completely different movies. Sicario is a movie about Mexican cartel a little bit, and then Prisoners is like a kidnapping mystery. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of like Fincher, where it's like, Zodiac similar to Gone Girl and stuff like that. But I think he's good at something, and he's phenomenal at something. And if he just does that, then that's fine. But he's great at these suspense sci-fi action movies, and stay on that route.
Yeah, I think just to clarify, I also disagree with the fact that you can only do one movie. And I think that the evidence is honestly pretty clear in Dune itself, because the dialogue is fantastic. And I get that it's adapted from a novel, so it's not all
It's like
him,
Shakespearean. It's great.
I mean, the proof that he can do other movies is
great.
literally in the movie that that fits the mold. Yeah. Because you can see Dune 2, love it, and not love the space part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't even, like, space doesn't really play a role in it.
No, I mean, they're on the same planet.
Yeah, there's only one. There's only one. I mean, there's. I guess
with the first
you
one,
see. Yeah, you see.
the other
Yeah,
one,
you see one. But I mean, yeah, it's cool that way, because it's different than Star Wars. In fact, like, Star Wars is you're hopping from place to place a little bit.
Intergalactic.
And then Dune is like, we're on a separate world. We're just in a different world. Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I mean, we live in a time where Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan are, have. Hopefully, like, Denis might have 4 or 5 more movies left in him. Nolan maybe a little bit less, but I mean, they're on generational runs. Yeah. It's great, and we're lucky, because I mean, I don't know. I don't have like a list of my top 10 directors of all time, but it feels like these are 2 of like the top 20 maybe, and they're pumping out. I mean, fantastic movie after fantastic movie.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 have done enough to me where if I see that they have a movie coming out, I'm going to see it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like it's not even a thought anymore. And I think that once you get to that stage, you've established yourself as like a unique talent in this industry. And I think that we have to just appreciate them while they're still here.
Yeah, because I saw the other day that Interstellar might re-release in 70mm for its 10th year anniversary, and I was like, all right, I gotta get these tickets. Like, I'm gonna just be ready for when these tickets come out. But I mean, I think that's gonna do it for us today. I mean, great first show. We covered. It was a great week in movies. I mean, we had Dune 2, we had the Oscars. Learn about it ourselves. But I mean, any final thoughts, Nick, about what we covered today? Oscars, Dune, Denis. I mean, anything.
I mean, it was a fantastic week to start our show.
Yeah.
There was so much went on in the past week. Honestly, I'm surprised that we fit this all in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to continue this.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Rest of the time here.
And
I hope everyone enjoyed.
Yeah, and that's gonna do it for Nick and I here on V89 Won the Roar for the first edition of the TwoMan Show. We will be live next Thursday and every Thursday after that at 2:30 p.m. here on V89 Won the Roar with more movie talk. A little preview of the show next week. We might be talking about Christopher Nolan. Nick and I might watch Poor Things. We're teasing that stuff. We might do it. We'll talk all about it. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the TwoMan Show WXVU. That's going to have what we're going to talk about that week, updates about our schedule and all that. But make sure you check us out on there to keep up with all what we're doing. So once again, this has been the TwoMan Show. Have a great weekend. Have a great St. Patrick's Day. And Nick, you want to bring us home?
Of course. In case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Villanova University's WXVU Villanova, serving the main line, including Montgomery, Delaware, and Chester counties at 89.1 on your FM dial. We're streaming online at our website, wxvu.org. Nominated for Best Radio Station Imaging at this year's National Student Production Awards, we are V89.